Yo, what is up, guys? So we got something really amazing to share with you. Or is it actually a brick city? But anyways, looking at this deck, first off, you guys be like, what the heck is this hero kid? What the heck? There's Lightsworn, there's heroes, there's the new element sabers. How does this deck work? Well, let's go ahead and check it out in action. And the deck actually looks pretty good. Biggie/Glue, shout out to you for figuring out like how cool this deck can be. Now, I'll actually relies off of the new Noble Knight Link monster that actually lets you extend your plays like crazy. We're using the Lightsworn engine here just to cycle through cards, and also for, I guess, you know, there's technically possibilities with Lumina, but it really comes down to this combo right here, and this is the main part of it. I'm going to explain it real quick. So the new Noble Knight lets you send some equip cards to the graveyard. Then what you're able to do is special summon a monster from the deck equal to the stars or the level of the amount of equip cards you send. You're going to be actually using this card called Hero Kid, and anyways, when this card is special summoned, you get to special summon any number of hero kids from your deck. It also technically is a hero, which can work well with other things, which we'll get into. But basically, it's just a one card that gets you an extra 2 cards, so it gives you 3 cards. And we got Bubbleman up in here. We got Mally options here. I was thinking like you could even throw in Plague Spreader in this deck, and then you can synchro up for even further plays. Heck, even Level Eater would be a card that could be ran in here. I mean, this deck has so many options. I mean, watch what you are able to do pretty consistently, as long as you don't draw the hero kids. Technically, you could still use them because they're cards that you can just discard with the Lightsworn engine with like Luna. But the thing is that if you don't draw any hero kids, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, you guys will see back-to-back huge plays. And then on top of like a big board, I mean, there are options here. We'll see in a second where you can go for like Tri-Gate Wizard, but what he's got is a very powerful board, because at this moment he's able to, obviously we got double Firewall Dragons, we got Moon Glacier. Now, if you guys don't know what this guy does, he's kind of like a delinquent duo. You just get rid of 2 cards out of your opponent's hand. In fact, all of the Elemental Lords have an effect of pretty much a banned card is their effects. But anyways, yeah, you're able to get rid of 2 cards out of your opponent's hand, and obviously with this hand, like, there was really very few things that he could have done from here. And then he technically also didn't even need the Grasslooks Greener. But this was just a turn 1 play that's, again, very powerful. And once we go to the deck profile, I'll kind of explain some of the stuff if maybe some of you guys are lost and also want to maybe build the deck. Because I would say it's definitely a toolbox-oriented deck. And again, the most important thing is just Isolde, the reminiscence of the Noble Knights, which just requires 2 warrior monsters, which you can do quite easily in this deck. So again, once again, we got the hero combo over here. And we're also using this just to get an extra summon. We've got Firewall Dragon that gives you an extra summon. This is just, it's crazy what Biggie built over here. Because on top of that, we also have an Elemental Saber Willard over here. So this is kind of like a Towers. It's indestructible by effect and untargetable. But we don't even need it. We're just going to go ahead and link some more. We're going to disrespect. We're going to Dark Arm Dragon, get rid of our own cards over here. A 4,000 attacking Dark Arm Dragon. Like, how cool is that? And then we have a Moon Glacier. Like, and this guy's just like, dude, I don't even want to play. Like, this guy still had like a hand over here. I guess he's just like, dude, I don't even want to play. I mean, he still had instant fusion technically. He could have tried to do something at least. But I guess he's just like, dude, I don't even want to play against you. Because this, again, is ridiculous. Like, he kind of disrespected with the Dark Arm over there. Interesting enough, like, you can OTK quite easy in this deck. Now, his opponent over here is going to have Grinder Golem, but this is an excellent example of what you do to play against your opponent if, you know, you expect him to have a Grinder Golem, or just kind of playing around with the Link Zone here. But anyways, once again, that bread and butter combo, going for that Noble Knight, getting the hero kids, going for the Binary Sorcerers. There's also the Shadow Mist over here, letting him add a hero monster, which will be a Bubbleman over there. I even thought, like, dude, you could throw, like, Miracle Fusion. You can throw a lot of different things in this deck. I mean, we're running 60 cards here. We got options for days. We're playing Autonomous Action Unit. Paying 1,500 life points, then selecting 1 monster in your opponent's graveyard and special summoning. Interesting card. I'm not sure if I'll play it, but we got the Tri-Gate Wizard. He definitely could have went for some plays over here. On top of that, he's got Willard here. Again, indestructible by effect, untargetable. And then we got Moon Glacier getting rid of double cards. He plays the Glacier over here, so Grinder Golem can't really utilize the whole, I'm going to place over there, the tokens there, bounce back. It's just, there's a lot of problems, obviously, that his opponent really couldn't deal with. I guess, technically, he could have set Scapegoat and then activated it immediately, but it's pretty much going to be game at this point. So now that you guys have seen this crazy deck in action, let's go and go to the deck profile and talk about if it's actually just a deck that you're going to brick with, or is it an amazing fun toolbox deck, which I totally think it's just a really fun toolbox deck. There are times when you run these 60 card decks that you will have, trouble with, what you start out with, but if you happen to believe in the heart of the cards, if you draw this card, you're going to pretty much win this game. This card is basically a win in the deck. Just keep that in mind. Some of these decks are made for fun. Now, this one, I feel like it's kind of in the middle ground. Obviously, you can pull off some crazy things in the deck. However, when you run so many different archetypes together, if they don't have synergy, it can definitely become a problem. I was actually thinking that he's playing so many darks in this deck, he could consider perhaps Allure of Darkness if he wanted to. But, I mean, there's just so many things. I mean, we didn't even see Destiny Hero Drill Dark in action, but I feel like there is enough darks to warrant playing some of the Allure of Darkness if you want to. I mean, obviously you guys can remove like Autonomous. I'm not a fan of this card, not really a fan of DDR. I feel like some of these cards can be a little bit too conjunctional, like they require like a game state that you might not ever get to. But obviously if you can utilize them, they can be good at the right times. But like I said, if you want to drop some of these cards, play some other things, let me know in the comment section below what you guys would remove. But let's go ahead and get started with the deck, and you guys can make some suggestions as we go along. We'll talk a little bit about the cards. So first off, Triple Glacier. This is what makes the deck so good, because when you go for a very powerful turn 1 play, whether it's having like Trigate Wizard or other cards that let you like secure a super good advantage like Firewall Dragon, following up with the Moon Glacier knocks out 2 cards, and if you have like your opponent going -2 before anything even happens, and then you follow up with the Trigate Wizard that has its co-links, it's really just pretty much a done deal. Next up, we got Darkarm Dragon. I have not seen this guy in a while. He's an older card, but he was kind of one of those classic boss monsters that you kind of throw into multiple decks. But anyways, if you have 3 darks in your graveyard, you can go ahead and special summon it, and you can banish 1 dark monster from your graveyard, then target 1 card in the field and destroy it. And that's not a once per turn effect, so you can, as soon as you summon, basically you're going to be able to get rid of 3 cards. I'm not sure how much Darkarm fits into like a turn 1 play. Obviously, we did see a Darkarm with 4,000 attack, but for the most part, I want to say that Darkarm was definitely used to push for game, but you can do that generally in a lot of decks anyways. But getting rid of like, your opponent's back row can definitely still be good. However, most back row these days tends to be cards that would stop you from getting the card out in the first place. But anyways, next up we got 2 copies of Willard. This card can just force negations also, but I mean, he kind of disrespected. He had this card out multiple times and it had the effect where it could not be targeted, and it also could not be destroyed. And then he just like used it for Link Summon anyways. Boss plays, man, boss plays. So we got 2 copies of him. 3 copies of Malicious. It lets you extend your combos, plus it's another warrior, so it technically does work quite well, of course, with going for the Noble Knight. Next up, we got 1 Jane, 1 Raiden. I'm not sure why Jane is in here, honestly. I was thinking originally because there's maybe needing multiple names for Lightsworn. However, it is technically a warrior, which this card is also a warrior. I just find Raiden to be much better. I would opt to drop Jane, unless you wanted to run like a few different Lightsworns and throw Judgment Dragon here, which is not actually the case here. We're basically using the Lightsworn engine for some extra draw power, as well as just setting some stuff. It's basically a cycle through cards. But yeah, that's just my suggestion to you guys. Next up, we have 2 copies of Drill Dark. So this card is normal or special summon. You can special summon 1 Destiny Hero monster from your hand with equal less attack. Well, this card technically is going to have like the lowest attack. In fact, Hero Kid actually has less attack than I was going to say. Wait, what is Hero Kid's attack? But pretty much it's just used to, of course, go for the Noble Knight Link monster. That's just real self-explanatory. And also it is piercing, but pretty much it's just to go for the Noble Knight Link monster. Next up, we have 3 copies of Armageddon Knight. So this card is going to let you send a dark monster, which is going to be Malicious. You can go for Vion, you can go for the Shadow Mist, to search out another card. You can go for a lot of different things. But anyways, next up we got Shadow Mist, and then we have 3 copies of Vion. So this card has the effect when it's normal or special, you get to send 1 hero monster from your deck to the graveyard. So again, this is kind of like the same thing. It's basically like another Armageddon Knight, if you will. Technically, I was thinking that Level Eater would be really cool in this, like, I want to say this is definitely a toolbox deck at the end of the day. It has a lot of options. If you want to throw in some extra things, heck, I would have thrown Grinder Golem in here and just went crazy with it. However, you technically need your normal summon for some of the plays, so keep that in mind as well. If you decide to play Grinder Golem, there's a lot of, strict areas in the extra deck, so that might be a little difficult if you want to do like Link Karibo. Obviously the Akashic Magician to bounce back, you already have that in here, but you definitely would need, like, of course, Link Karibo if you wanted to go for that. But yeah, I was thinking Level Eater would be a cool addition to this deck, just so you can go ahead and like go even further with some of these Link combos, especially since some of the Lightsworn Engine plus some of the other cards let you send to the graveyard. Lumina can send to the graveyard. Like there's so many extra options, and there's a lot of times I feel like where you have a monster that you can eat a level off of, which you don't actually like need it to have a level, because there's no exceeds, there's no synchros in here. Although Raiden can be a tuner if you really wanted to go for some synchro plays. But, yeah. Anyways, next up, we got one Bubble Man. It lets you special summon it. It was also technically a card that they were just special summoning via the effects of some other cards. But, anyways, next up, we got the Saber Rapawira over here. And this once per when a spell or trap card is activated, you can just send as a quick effect an Element Saber. Some of these cards we're just playing just for, like, Element Sabers, just so we can make some of these cards. But, it's an okay effect, and then once per turn, if this card is in your graveyard, you get to declare your attribute. That's pretty much like all the Element Sabers effect. You get to change the attribute of the monster, of course, to go for your Glacia plays, because this is basically a turn 1 oriented deck, especially when you're going for a first turn Glacia. You just automatically win sometimes. We've got 3 Illuminas, 3 copies of Makini over here. And then, well, I guess you could go over the effect of this one. So again, they all have that effective copy, so I'm not going to mention that anymore. But once per turn, you get to just send an Element Saber monster from your hand to the graveyard to add a different one, so it lets you cycle, again, really fast in the deck. And then we have Hero Kid, which is basically what makes this whole deck possible with the heroes. This is the hero engine, basically. It just lets you special summon an extra 2 copies of Hero Kid. Now, there is one downside, is drawing this card. It's kind of like Reborn Tengu. It kind of sucks to draw, but, well, I don't know if any of you guys remember Reborn Tengu, but that's just, like, it's so good that, like, the turn 1 plays are crazy with this. Anyways, next up, we're playing 3 copies of Soul Recharge, 1 Grassless Screener, aka Auto Win in the deck. We got 1 copy of Reinforcement of the Army, 1 Foolish Burrell Goods, which will be for some of, like, the Cursed Bamboo stuff. Then we have 3 copies of Terraforming, 3 copies of Golden Bamboo Sword, 3 copies of Charge, 1 Set Rotation, 1 Different Dimension Reincarnation. I feel like this card and this card could definitely be dropped. Next we have the Broken Bamboo Sword, triple copies of Cursed Bamboo Sword, 2 copies of Pseudospace, and 3 copies of Temple of the Elemental Lords, which gives you extra stats, because all monsters you control gain 200 attack and defense for every different attribute among those monsters in your graveyard. So that's how we got the Dark Arm Dragon up to absurd amounts of attack, because we basically get every single element, and basically all of your small monsters, like heck, Lumina had like 2200 attack. A lot of these small monsters can actually be kind of threats. Well, Lumina 2200 attack is still like decent, but like pretty much with the exception of Lumina and the other cards like Hero Kid and like Malicious, most cards that you summon will have like almost like 3000 plus attack. Again, Dark Arm had 4k attack, that's legit. Obviously that can help out with a lot of OTKs, but the whole goal again is to pretty much get like that first turn play. But yeah, it lets you just add an Element Saber monster from your deck to your hand, and that's obviously pretty good because you can just go for whatever you want to go for when like other cards search out the other cards anyways. It's a really good card. Anyways, next up for the extra deck, we're wanting 1 Borealo Dragon, 1 Scoldy, 3 Firewall Dragon, 1 Topolopic, Trisbania, even though we didn't see any play, but its requirements are 2 effect monsters, and if a monster is special summoned to his own this card points, you can just banish it. It's not so relevant for that because obviously your opponent just doesn't summon there. But anyways, it has another effect that's kind of cool. It's banish that monster and as many spell and traps on the field as possible, and if you do, you get to burn your opponent for 500 damage for each of their cards banished by this effect. Now, obviously, again, your opponent just would not summon it right there. However, you can force them to special summon, well, it's more so you're special summoning on their board with other cards. For example, like Grinder Golem, there's tons of other cards that you could just force something to be special summoned to, and then it's just kind of like an optional card. It can be used against decks that like have heavy back row, but again, most back row these days gets rid of the monster in the first place. But anyways, next up we're playing Summon Sorceress. You got the Decode Talker, Trident Wizard, Akashic Magician, Isolde, 2 copies of Proxy Dragon, and 1 Security Dragon for basically looping some of the stuff and kind of extending your combo plays. But that is the Hero Elemental Lightsworn deck. It's cool. It's an interesting toolbox deck. Let me know, guys, what you think of it. I really like these kinds of decks where you're mixing in archetypes. I've always been a fan of mixing just strange things together. However, I do want to say that it's kind of a fun deck. It's slightly competitive. I don't know if it's going to be the most consistent thing, because when you're playing multiple archetypes and like you have potential for a lot of cards where it's like if you open up like multiple copies of Hero Kid, you got multiple copies of Willing Glacier, and you just don't have the other cards to cycle through, you'll just brick. But that happens sometimes in some decks. But I think that this deck is definitely a fun deck. Try it out, guys. Let me know what you think of it down below in the comment section below. And thanks for watching. Shoutouts to you again for sending it in a big... You made a crazy deck, man. I like it. But hope you guys enjoyed the vid. If you did, drop a like on it. If you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button to see more new, fresh Yu-Gi-Oh content.